Welcome to the UPIKE Coaches Show, Week 5. Sitting here with head coach Corey Fipps. Bears coming off a 50-26 loss at Bluefield. Coach, opening thoughts.
Yeah, life's tough, and so was that game. Our guys, we really felt well prepared and well traveled over there and started off really executing, and then just game got a little bit away from us and had to play catch up, and injuries caught us a little bit there. So, but our guys, I thought our guys battled to the end, and that's all you could ask. And a couple more opportunities, we might be able to win that game, 54-50. So.
Diving into the second quarter, there were some bright spots because at one point the Rams led 43-7. You guys came out of half, scored quickly on a 75-yard drive, ended up having 2 straight scoring drives that you guys found some success. But I think the biggest thing was that jumped off the stat page was 2 for 6 overall in the red zone. And how do you change that, and how do you build off of that?
Yeah, there were a couple penalties in the red zone that pushed us back and forced us to go for it on 4th down on what started on a red zone drive and kind of ended up out of the red zone. So, the weather really prevented us from, kicking some long field goals there. We felt like with a little bit of that tropical, depression still blowing through from Ian. So, we've worked really hard this week on that, and we're going to be a big, gamble team when it comes to going for it on 4th down. We got to be a little bit better there. Our 3rd down conversion rate sometimes a little bit lower than I'd like it, but really we call 3rd down to get the 4th down in a lot of situations when it's a 4th and long type play. So, still, played 3 quarterbacks and had 470 yards I think through the air, and those guys did some good things. And we had Lee Kirkland who got banged up a little bit there, and Xavier Malone came in really nicely and threw for over 250 yards and 3 scores, and really just about 2 quarters of play. So proud of him coming in, stepping in, making some big plays, and hopefully we can get Lee back off what's a pretty minor injury pretty quick.
Yeah, talking about X, came in the game 17 for 29, 258 yards after entering the game halfway through the second quarter. So really showing your depth at that position. But let's flip the side of the coin. The defense, Anthony Grant leading the team in tackles with 11. What were the bright spots and the dark spots for the defense?
Yeah, I thought Anthony came back and played well at times and had a lot of tackles. I thought that our defense did a great job in the second half, but anytime you spot somebody 30-plus points in the first quarter, it's really demoralizing and hard to come back from that. So we've talked a lot about, we're right there, the 50-50 balls, they were winning them at a high percentage, felt like 100% sometimes. And our guys at the defensive back position, sometimes we're a little bit undersized, but, they've got to play with better technique, when things are going poorly. The details matter even more. Dialing in and making sure those things are getting accomplished is really what we've talked about this week. And, I feel like our defense, we return a lot of guys, but some key positions. There's some new faces and some young guys that need to step up and help us, and we need to continue to develop some depth. So when things get like that, we can go down the depth chart, get some guys to come in and give us some energy.
So it seems like a going trend this season. You guys have been a second-half team, holding Bluefield to only 7 points. You made that comeback earlier in the season against KCU when the first half wasn't looking promising. How do you carry over that capability to opening with that same energy?
Yeah, I think our guys have played really well at home. Yep. So I think that's the big thing for us this week is that we've got the opportunity to come out. If you look at who we've been at home, we've had some success in the first half and then kind of kicked it into high gear in the second half. So if we can kick it into high gear out the gates, I think we'll have a chance to really do something here this weekend.
Okay, so what's the biggest takeaway from week 4?
I think the biggest takeaway is that, life is tough. Football is just kind of this strange example of what, different spans of your life can be. The first half of your life, and you're struggling to figure things out. Second half of life, you're living off some of those things you worked hard to earn on that first half. And, I think our guys have just got to understand that, you've got to earn everything. Just because you beat a team, 52 to whatever last year, that this is a new day. You got to come out and compete every day. If you look around college football today, the scores from Division I on down, there's quite honestly a lot more parity than there's ever been. You see teams stealing $1 million paydays from guarantee games, and we just want our guys to understand that if you're not willing to come out and compete every snap and every day, then this game probably isn't for you, and this sport isn't for you, and ultimately life is going to be a struggle for you if you don't come out and try to earn it every day. So it was amazing. We had preacher for First Baptist Pikeville came out, John, and he just kind of talked about don't stop doing good. And if you look at it, the last 2 weeks, 6 hours of our last 12 months as a football program are very bitter and sour, and that can rob the joy of the game from you. Or you can look at it and say that all the positive things our guys are doing on campus, in the community, in this program, are really the building blocks to the success we're going to have on the field later. And we knew that this is really year one. Last year was really 0 year. The way we came in the summer, that just doesn't happen. And so we're still building as if it's year one, recruiting as if it's year one, and trying to get these guys to understand the principles and the foundational blocks of who we are. They've got to be hard work day in, day out.
I think that philosophy and that kind of work ethic that you've instilled, it reflects. That's a really good point you make about it's 6 hours of the last however many months of football that you guys have played. So I think that shines positively on our guys, but that'll wrap it up for talking about Bluefield. We'll be back with Coach Fipps after we talk to Joe Timp and Bradyn Hunter here on the UPIKE Coaches Show. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to the UPIKE Coaches Show. I'm here with senior defensive back Joe Timp. Joe from Cottage Grove, Minnesota. Coach said that was right outside of Minneapolis. Transfer from the University of Sioux Falls, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
So, Joe, you're pursuing the MBA program at UPIKE. Talk a little bit about your journey and where you want it to take you.
In undergrad, I ended up taking a photography class. I got really into it. And I just kind of figured I really wanted to do my own photography, videography brand.
Wow.
And so that's kind of why I wanted to do entrepreneurship. It basically, for my MBA, it basically teaches you how to, create your own company and do all the little things there. So, yeah.
So you've got the soft skills and the technical skills to do the work. Now you're trying to figure out how to turn it into something profitable for you and into a career.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Which I think is really cool. So
I'd really like to stay around the game of football and do kind of photography, videography for that stuff. So
we're always looking for people. If you're looking for a spot next year, we always need help. So what brought you to UPIKE?
Just the coaches. I had a couple coaches reach out to me, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to play football anymore, and it was just one of those things. It just kind of fell into place, and I've enjoyed my time here a lot.
So you had that big interception earlier on in the season against Cumberland. That was a big time for you, I'm sure. Let's talk a little bit about the Bluefield game. You guys gave up 261 rushing yards and the most passing touchdowns against you. But like Coach Fipps said, it wasn't really an awful defensive performance. They just got the best of you at some points. What do you think is the biggest defensive key to improve on some of those takeaways?
I think the biggest thing is we just got to go out there and start fast this week. We just got put in some bad positions last week, some penalties, put us in tough spots. I just think if we go out there and start fast, we could really change the game. So,
where on the defensive plane do you think you guys need the most improvement, or what have you been working on the most?
Just discipline, just the little things. That's what matters most. Just really eye discipline. Being in the spots you got to be in, and just little things.
Makes sense. So is there anything else you want to talk about with the folks at home before we talk to Bradyn?
Not really.
You excited for Georgetown?
Oh, yeah. I'm always excited to get going.
Yeah? So homecoming game, Bears are back home. I'm sure the home game is a lot more fun being in your position.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I like, just seeing the community come out and, really surround us and embrace us is great.
All right, Joe. Thanks for being on, man.
I appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Yep.
So that will do it. We will be back with Bradyn Bull Hunter here on the UPIKE Coaches Show.
Who brought the sauce?
I brought the sauce.
Who made the sauce?
I made the sauce.
Okay.
Whoa, you want my sauce? Get your hands off my wall. I got the recipe. Hit 100 degrees.
Welcome back to the UPIKE Coaches Show. We have senior offensive lineman Bradyn Bull Hunter. Bull's the nickname, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That started many years ago, back when I was still playing flag football at the YMCA up on Bob Amos.
So what's the story behind it?
God, it was a long time ago, but Shane Hensley was my coach, and you give any 5, 6-year-old cleats, they play in the dirt. And he caught me one day, and I was just standing there kicking the dirt, and it stuck.
So bull stuck.
Yep.
So let's talk about academics. You've been an all-academic winner. Before we get into that, what's your major?
Criminal justice sociology.
So where do you want that to take you?
Either to the police academy or into the correction system.
If it's police academy, are you going to go state trooper, sheriff? Well, I guess that would be state trooper, right?
Yeah, normally shoot for the highest, then work your way down.
All right, that makes sense. So how have you managed to juggle? You've been here, 4 years now?
Yep.
This is your 4th year?
Yep.
How have you managed to juggle football and school, and what's been the most challenging part of that?
Really, the most challenging part of the whole school and football thing is finding time either between workouts and practice or after practice just to get homework and tests done and everything like that.
Yeah. So I'm sure UPIKE football is pretty close to you.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what it means to you.
Grew up watching it and stuff. I always shared the field with them through high school and stuff. Was a really close friends with the old coach. Knew Coach Wells and his family my whole life, so I've pretty well been involved with UPIKE for a little while.
All right, so let's flip sides of the coin here and talk a little bit more about football. You guys have a mostly veteran front, would you say?
Yeah.
Mostly older guys. So what's been the most challenging part about the transition to this, air raid offense where you're pass protecting most of the time? Is that easier or more challenging?
You adapt a lot more quickly to it than what you would think from our previous offense, which was pound the ball more. But, with us being a veteran group, we've been able to buckle down and be like, hey, we need to get this done and fix some things.
As a veteran on the team, the last 2 weeks, not what you guys want, but it's still early. You guys have a chance to turn it around, and like Coach Fipps said, you're still building. From your perspective, what's it take to turn it around?
Really, we just need to, really, it sounds cliche or whatever, but focus. Last week we went into a very, very winnable ball game. Had some element issues, and, raining and being an air raid offense, it really doesn't go hand in hand together. But we just really weren't focused as a team last week, and I think that's what it needs to take.
So what do you think is the biggest point of improvement for the offense headed into Georgetown?
Headed into Georgetown, really we need to execute and make your simple throws and catches. If it's running for 300 yards, passing for 300 yards, we need to lock in, do our responsibilities.
Find a way, right?
Yep.
All right, man. Thank you so much for being on here. That was Bradyn Bull Hunter. And he'll be out there on Saturday against Georgetown. Up next, we'll be back with Coach Fipps here on the UPIKE Coaches Show. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the UPIKE Coaches Show. We're back with Coach Fipps, and we're talking Georgetown. Tigers come into this game 4-1, 2-1 in the Mid-South Conference, coming off a big loss to now number 8, Bethel. Really, the first thing that I noticed from Georgetown is they like to take the ball away. They force a lot of turnovers, but you guys are back at home. It's homecoming, a big game, and like you said earlier, you're kind of in your element back in Pikeville.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation, because Georgetown for 30 years had the same head coach and Bill Cronin. This is the first year these guys will come over here and to Pikeville to play with a new head coach we're familiar with, Chris Oliver, who won a national championship at Lindsey Wilson College, so he left a conference rival, much like we did, to take a job in conference. And so he's going to come over here with a great coaching staff. The guy that's coordinating defense for him does an outstanding job, came from Birmingham Southern, spent some time at Morehead State, and they do a lot of things you're going to see on Saturdays in big-time college football. So excited to play against some of that stuff, excited to see what our kiddos can do. But, yeah, definitely play great defense, pretty balanced in their offensive attack and who they are, but, still got the ability to score points in bunches if you're not careful.
So would you say that's the most important thing going in is executing on defense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, championship football still comes down to, can you stop people when you have to? And so, just trying to look at things and understand that we're still second in the conference right now, and when you look at, people who, there's only one, I think, undefeated team left in Bethel, who beat up on us and Georgetown. So we're looking for an opportunity to get back in the win column in the conference standings. So that's what I think a lot of our kids didn't really understand last week. That Bluefield game was a non-conference matchup.
Speaking of conferences, not conferences, let's talk a little bit about what we announced earlier this week. The Bears will be joining the AAC starting in the fall of 2023-24. You're no stranger to that conference.
Yeah, absolutely. We were members at Kentucky Christian University when I was the athletic director there, and so when we came on board here, and Coach Wells wanted to evaluate all the different options in terms of conference affiliation was something that came up. I thought a university that services Central Appalachia would be a great fit for the Appalachian Athletic Conference. So, I think Coach Wells and our president, Dr. Burton Webb, and a lot of folks felt so too. And Coach Wells spent a lot of time doing research and looking at these things and really seeing that we were a like-minded institution and like-resourced. And if you look at it for our other sports, it's going to be awesome that mainly the conference championship games will be right down the road in Kingsport, Tennessee. So a lot of our fan base and a lot of our kids here from campus can get there in a quick turnaround to support our men and women in those sports. Football at this level doesn't really have a true conference championship game, but I still think it's going to be a great fit for us. You just see a lot of movement right now in collegiate athletics. You see UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten. If you would have told me that growing up on the West Coast, that was going to happen, I would have told you you're crazy. Yep. So a lot of different movements. So we're just a part of that kind of trickle-down effect from that. But we think it's going to be a great fit. Nothing against the Mid-South Conference. It was a great fit for many, many years. But just as, the epicenter of that conference moves west and we became more and more the outlier on the east side of the conference, it made more sense for us. I
do think as I've opened the book on the AAC and kind of done my research a little bit, it more like-minded institutions and the proximity match is just obvious. So I think it is a good move for the university, and it's exciting. It's a new chapter in the history too, and for your program as well.
Yeah, and there's still really good football in that league. I think that was a question that we had to ask too. Ryan Hart's played a national championship in recent years, and been a bunch of playoff teams out of that league. And last year there were 22 football schools in the Mid-South. There was an Appalachian division and a Mid-South division, which was the Bluegrass. So we know these institutions really well at the football level.
So last thing about Georgetown, homecoming day, 1:30 kickoff at Hambly. We're excited to see everybody out there, and the guys are, I'm sure, excited to play.
They're fired up to play.
Yeah.
Fired up to play.
So we will see you guys out there Saturday. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck on Saturday afternoon.
Absolutely.
That'll do it for Week 5 of the UPIKE Coaches Show, and we'll see you all on Saturday at Hambly, 1:30 kickoff against the Tigers. Thanks, Coach.